Well, that was a journey. Hello and welcome to me reviewing episode 4 of Doctor Who Flux. If you've been following my other reviews, I'm sorry, this is late. Stuff came up yesterday, but you're getting the content if you wanted it, eventually. So, on to the episode. That was weird. Not weird in a bad way. Weird in quite a good way. I'm still not sure what I think of this. I have to admit, when the episode started out, and just before the episode in general, I wasn't really that excited for another Weeping Angels story. The problem with the Weeping Angels is nothing new or exciting has been really done with them since Blink. They were perfect in Blink, and they haven't really been done better since. So they could have very much just been a one-and-done villain for me. And I have to admit, the episode started off quite generic Weeping Angel story. But as the episode went on, I think they did some cool, creative stuff. I think this is the first time since Blink I've probably been a little bit scared of the Angels. And for that, I probably have to say, this is the best Weeping Angel episode since Blink. I would give it that title. I think what it does well is, it doesn't completely, change all of what the Weeping Angels were about. But, it tries to do some different things with them. It has twists and turns. And I was invested along that ride, especially in the second half of this episode. What I'm trying to say is the first half of this episode was a little bit weak. I think it just didn't do much new, and I kind of wanted it to get into it a little bit more. However, the second half, full of twists, turns, cool things, exciting moments, and this was the episode that felt like it worked really well as part of the Flux story. I think from the cliffhanger last week, I was worried we were going to be on another side quest and this wouldn't feed into the Flux. But actually, this episode does a very good job of feeding into the overall narrative while telling a good self-contained story, and I'm really happy with that. Now, let's talk about that ending, because, my god, that was a bit mad. Now, I genuinely haven't looked at anyone else's reviews, so I don't know what people think, but I'm presuming from that ending, and just a lot of what's going on here, I'm presuming the Weeping Angels, they're finally leaning into the idea of, are they fallen Time Lords or something like that? Obviously, at the end of the David Tennant era, that was, a theory that was kind of, becoming quite popular. So, I think they're exploring that. That would be my guess as to where they're going with this. And yeah, if they really want to revitalise the Angels, that's probably the best way to do it. I think overall the idea of, dangling the answers in front of the Doctor and then taking them away while still kind of having, another route for us to get the answers by the end of the series, it's smart, it's clever, and I liked it, and it sets up a really good cliffhanger. Also, can we talk about that cliffhanger? Because we know Kate Stewart's coming back, and I'm really excited for that. I shouldn't nerd out over these things, but I'm excited for Kate Stewart to come back. If we're talking about performances, Jodie Whittaker here. Jodie Whittaker's really come into her own this series. I feel like with the episodic writing of the previous series, she hasn't really had much to latch onto from a writing perspective. So while her performance has never been bad, she's been my least favourite modern Doctor, just because she hasn't been given enough to really latch onto. And no, she hasn't suddenly become my favourite Doctor, but this series, with the more serialised approach, she's just got more meat and stuff to do, and therefore she's really coming into her own as the Doctor. Which also makes me sad that she's leaving, because she's finally getting the writing she deserves, and she's leaving the show, and I think that's a real shame. In terms of some negatives for this story, side plots are becoming a problem. Chris Chibnall has never understood how to use companions, and while some of his best companion work has come earlier in this series, again, Yaz and Dan are just sidelined and really given nothing interesting to do every time we went back to, 1901. The story drags. The story does drag. Also, I am quite invested in this story of Vinder and his girlfriend with a pregnant girlfriend or whatever. I'm quite invested, in their relationship, but I do wish it was a little bit more tied into the main story, because the disconnect is a little bit there. I'm invested, but it's dragging the story at the same time. Is this a perfect episode? No, not at all. Is it something that does kind of help the overall story moving forward and is probably better than I thought it was going to be? Yes, definitely. If you want to check out my thoughts on the other episodes of Doctor Who Flux, you can check out my reviews in the card. Apart from that, subscribe. Have a nice day. Yeah, I really don't have much much of an outro other than that, really. Those were my thoughts. Surprisingly, there wasn't actually that much to talk about with that episode. At least it'll give me, not much to edit. Why am I such a waffler?